It would seem that E3 is no more, and while there hasn't been an official cancellation of all future E3s, even the ESA and ReedPop have announced that they're reevaluating the entirety of the event. It does seem like E3 2023 was the last shot, and E3 could be done forever. Let's talk a little bit about what people are saying, what the ESA is saying, and just sort of, I want to go back down memory lane and talk about my experiences with my first E3 and my thoughts about the event. So a little bit of free form, but it's a cool industry moment. So, well, I don't know if cool is the right word. It's definitely an industry moment. Let's talk about it more right now. So first things first, if you haven't, go read the IGN story, because I believe IGN broke this. Good job, Rebecca Valentine. And the quote that the ESA sent out was shortly after. It said, "This was a difficult decision because of all the effort we and our partners put towards making this event happen, but we had to do what's right for the industry and what's right for E3. We appreciate and understand that interested companies wouldn't have playable demos ready, and resourcing challenges made being at E3 this summer an obstacle they couldn't overcome. For those who did commit to E3 2023, we're sorry. We can't put on the showcase you deserve and that you've come to expect from ReedPop's event experiences." Now, in addition to that, there was also an email sent out to people who had registered. I had registered, so basically you're getting the following. "Hi, Destin. Thank you for applying to attend E3 2023. We are writing to let you know that E3 2023 will not be taking place as scheduled. The ESA and ReedPop recognize you may have made plans around the event. Thank you for your support and apologies for any inconvenience." I feel like that's phrased improperly. Anyway, please keep an eye on e3expo.com for future updates to E3. So I was like, okay, let's go see what they're saying on e3expo.com. And it doesn't seem like it's any more positive. As a matter of fact, it seems more negative than anything else that I've read. "Show organizer ReedPop announces E3 2023 will not take place as scheduled this June, with both physical and digital events canceled alongside the Entertainment Software Association. Both parties will reevaluate the future of E3. Now, that seems to be alluding to the fact that E3 will not continue in the future, or at least it's going to be a drastic restructuring. Now, what's especially surprising to me is that we're sitting here at the end of March and they couldn't even figure out how to put together some sort of live production to utilize the E3 name to the best of their ability. I mean, we know Ubisoft pulled out, Microsoft has their own thing. And for me, the big problem with E3 was always the expense that companies had to foot the bill of to be in that area. Nintendo got wise first, and I believe they pulled out and they started just doing their Nintendo Directs. PlayStation started doing their own events offsite, and Microsoft has their own building over there, so they just would set up shop there across the street from the ESA. But what E3 did was it gave everything a central location to happen at the same time. E3 was not probably what you think of. E3 was a bunch of events surrounding a few dates where you could go on the show floor and see other things that were taking place. But like the Microsoft conference, that's actually not E3. That is a separate thing that you go and experience. And then E3 was like the show floor, right? So for me, I always thought that was some interesting interesting focus of the event. Because when Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox all kind of do their separate thing, you start wondering, do we really need this hugely expensive show floor experience? Like, is it really that additive? And it seems like the answer is no. A lot of outlets are reporting like E3 now dead was a show for a bygone game industry. Direct online marketing distribution made an expensive annual show unnecessary. And here's the thing about COVID, for better or for worse, COVID ended up creating other options for delivering your messaging directly to users. Like, I produce all of these videos where I'm just talking with you out of my house. And my production quality is like okay, right? I'm sure I could improve like the lighting issues that drive me nuts and things like that. But for the most part, people like these more one-on-one direct experiences, I think. Nintendo kind of provides that with their Nintendo Directs. PlayStation is doing it now, and Xbox is doing it now. And E3 kind of became unnecessary. At least that's what I believe Ars Technica is leaning towards. And then The Verge is actually saying E3 isn't coming back. The game industry has changed and it doesn't need E3 anymore. This is from Jay Peters. E3 2023 is canceled and the gaming industry is mourning. Like my colleague Ash Parrish, I've always wanted to go, but don't think I'll ever get the chance. The industry has changed enough that it's probably not coming back. Now, I think E3 was really special when you had to build a brand. When I went back and 2007 was the first year I had the opportunity to go. I wrote for this website, mygamer.com. I've read some of the articles I wrote. They're atrocious. And I was able to go in 2007, but I would have had to pay thousands of dollars to go in at the time, being a college student. I just didn't have that kind of money. Now, I believe that was the year the Wii was announced. It was it was like the Wii, the PS3, and I think even the 360 were showing off that year. But there were a lot of cool things that happened at that time. And then I got to go to the year after that, which is regarded as one of the less exciting years for E3. The show floor experience is largely you walking all over the place. And if you don't have an appointment, you're just standing in lines waiting to play one or two games that aren't released yet every day. I mean, maybe you could get 4 games in, but sometimes those lines were ridiculous. And that's because back in 2007, 2008, people who had a lot of money would just basically kind of pay their way in. And even then it was kind of a long experience to get to experience some of those. Now it's an exciting event. It's an exciting event to be sure. And I'm a little not sad that people can't go, but I wish you could have experienced it because I got to experience it. And after having gone to E3 for 10 years, and I recognize that's a position of privilege, it's actually just a lot of work. For me, my experience was always lugging around capture gear, and you're talking about heavy backpacks. Sometimes you gotta roll, IGN would have us roll around Folsoms and such all around the show floor to do capture. I'm shooting off screen where I'm putting the microphone bud in my headphones so that I could get halfway decent audio of the gameplay to coordinate with the off screen, because they wouldn't allow direct feed, but they would allow you to film the screen. It's for a worse visual experience for the viewer, which always was surprising to me, but it's gone now. And those of you who didn't get to experience, it kind of sucks. I wish that people would have had that opportunity to go and see it. I actually put together a little bit of a trailer asset here. Let me see if I can bring it up. So nope, that was not the correct that was not the correct button. Maybe it's this one. Nope. Maybe it's this one. Okay, yeah, so this is E3 2008. This is Destin Legary, Daily Destin, as I was called back in the Screw Attack days. I used to do this show, Hard News, back in 2008. I believe we launched it. And that's myself and Corey outside of the Microsoft conference, and we're actually discussing our reaction to Microsoft's E3 2008 event. And yes, I used to do the point thing. I also got to see Dark Void. I believe we had an appointment for that. Dark Void was actually a pretty cool game. And this is Major Minor's Majestic March, and I made a terrible joke about it. But yeah, that's a younger Destin getting to experience the event, and it was fun. But like I said, you're carrying around a tripod, you're carrying around capture gear, you're just lugging stuff around, you're exhausted, but there's an excitement with that also, right? You're getting to see these things early. And even if you have to wait in those exorbitantly long lines, you got to see it. Now that I'm older, I am perfectly comfortable enjoying these events from the comfort of my own home. It is a lot of work to put on these huge productions. And I don't think the people that do it, like any company, IGN, GameSpot, Kind of Funny, any of the companies that put on these huge live productions deserve a lot of credit because it is a massive undertaking for the staff involved, and it's hard to convey it unless you've lived it and done it. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of teamwork to make these things happen. I think E3 is gone, personally. I don't think it'll come back. I think the ESA just kind of changed what it was. There was this idea that if you got to go to E3, it was kind of like you were chosen, or you were special enough to get to go, right? Like when I wrote for My Gamer in 2007, I was selected as one of the people that were allowed to go or allowed to register at E3 when I started, or it was 2006 or 7. I don't remember. It was so many years ago. But that was really exciting. That was really cool. And it's kind of like, oh, wow, like this is really interesting. And it gets you into the industry, right? But when you actually get there, like I said, it's just a lot of lugging around gear, and it's fun for the first few years. And then after that, you're just like, no, you know what? It's always fun. It was never not fun to go to E3. It's never not fun to go to an event. So I'm a little sad that some people won't get to experience it. And I'm just kind of, like I said, I didn't know if I was I don't know what this video is. It's a little bit of my personal nostalgia, talking about getting to go for the first time, and, you know, remembering my friends who I got to go with. And it's a little bit of me just talking about the event itself and the problems with it. And I think largely the ESA just kind of didn't understand what E3 was. They wanted to keep it industry, but then they started opening it up to the public. And once they open it up to the public, it might as well just be PAX. Like, what's the difference between E3 and PAX? And if Microsoft or Sony or whoever doesn't have their marketing together, or they're able to do their own event and garner an equal, if not larger audience, like they did with the reveal of the PlayStation 5, is E3 even necessary anymore? The answer is no. And I think people really realized that once COVID hit, because you could do all these online events and probably get the same amount of interaction, if not more. And E3 really needs to, if they're ever going to come back, consider that. I don't know how E3 would ever come back. Jeff Keighley's doing his thing, and he really gets gamers. He gets what the industry needs, and he gets the spectacle of it all, right? And I feel like he understands it in a way that the ESA and ReedPop just didn't manage to harness in time. Pachter honestly said something like they should buy Jeff Keighley's event, and they didn't. They wanted to continue with the ways of old, and that's why evolution is important, like pushing your brand forward, figuring out how to change things and how to change things up when it's necessary. So just some sort of long-winded, rambly thoughts from myself about E3 and my experiences there. I had a lot of fun. I'm really sorry you didn't get to go. I hope this doesn't come off like, oh, I got to go and you didn't. That wasn't the intention, right? A lot of people gave me a hard time because I said when you open it up to the public, I'm like, you kind of lose a little bit of the magic, right? To go to E3, you have to like be doing work within the industry in some capacity. And you're kind of lucky if you get to go, right? When you open it up to the public, that's kind of just gone. It's just a trade show at that point. And I think that was the thing that made it special. And once you open it to the public, they were bragging about their attendance records, but it made coverage of the event harder, right? Because you can't get around on the show floor. Gamescom is really interesting. I think Gamescom handles it right, actually. Gamescom does a few events that are press only, you know, media people who get to come in early, and then they open it up to the public and everybody can get to go. And I think that works really well. They even have like a media area where, you know, we can go do our broadcast stuff and do whatever. And that is a very smart way to handle it. Again, E3 didn't do that. They let Microsoft handle booking out their own venue a few days before or the day before, and Sony handled that. But the problem is when they start realizing they don't need those show floor demos and they can just launch demos on their own console, then what's the purpose of the event at that point? It used to be a prestige thing, and then it kind of melted away. Anyway, just some very rambly thoughts. I apologize for that. I did want to talk about the story, though. Thanks for watching. If you like my channel where I talk about news or whatever, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. If you're already subscribed, hit the like because it does help the video get shared. Thank you to the members for supporting me doing all these videos and just this content that I'd like to do on my personal channel here. If you want to become a member, you don't like the ads, click that join button right down there. I'm going to get out of here, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now, everybody.